At this point, I've made all the power connections to the motherboard and to the 3 drives that are in the system. Now, even with all of those connections made, I still have all of these other connectors left over. What you might want to do is to use some zip ties and tie these together, maybe some rubber bands, something non-conductive anyway, and bundle these things up and secure them somewhere in the machine where they won't get in the way. That's so they don't, block airflow, so they don't jam one of the fans, so that the blade stops spinning, something like that. In fact, some manufacturers actually put little caps over these in order to prevent any accidental contact with anything inside the system. They are shrouded, but in some cases they could run up against something and possibly cause a short circuit. So it's best to bundle these things together and then tie them up somewhere inside the system. Anyway, after the power connections are made, the next thing we have to do, and really the final thing in putting this system together, is to install any of the cards that we have. And for this system, we have a couple of cards. We have a video card and a sound card. So to install those, I'm going to lay the system back down on its side. Now the video card goes into an AGP slot. This happens to be an AGP 8X video card. And you'll notice that many of the modern video cards are quite power hungry. This one has its own substantial heat sink and fan, and then it requires a power connection. There are some video cards which even require dual power connections. So this will use any one of the available peripheral connections, for example, like this one, that will plug into the video card. So, but first I'm going to, well actually I'll make this connection first, since it'll be a little bit easier to see. And make sure it's inserted all the way. There, the connection is now made from the power supply to the video card. And then I can plug the card into the slot. Now, a lot of VGA card slots have a little tab which will engage in this portion of the connector, and that tab will lock the card into place. That was to prevent the card from being cocked up sideways, partially out of the slot, which would damage the card if you turn the system on with it in that position. So I've made sure that the card bracket is out for that particular slot. Let's see here. No, looks like I'm going to have to change the bracketry. So I'm just removing one of the card brackets to free up an empty spot where the video card will go. And now I can install the card. Simply plug it into the slot, make sure it's fully seated. Once the card is seated all the way, you'll use the screw that formerly held the empty bracket in to secure the card. Now that the video card is installed, I'm ready to install the final card I have for my system, and that is a sound card. Now if you take a look at how things are arranged in the system right now, you'll see that the video card is in the topmost slot, and I've got several other slots free. Now because this video card draws so much power, and it has this substantial heat sink and fan on it, it would be better if I didn't put the sound card in a directly adjacent slot. If I could leave one or two of the slots directly adjacent to the video card open, that would be a better way to do things. So I might put this sound card in either the bottom slot or maybe the second slot up from the bottom. So what I need to do first is to remove one of the brackets that are covering that space, and then I can install the card. Now, one thing to check before you install the sound card is in many cases you may have a connection between the card and your CD-ROM or DVD drive. Now, a lot of modern drives can do digital audio directly through the ATA bus, and in that case you don't need that cable. But in a lot of older drives, you need the analog cable to connect the drive to the sound card in order to play like audio CDs. This system has a digital capable drive, so we don't really need that cable. So all I really have to do is install the card. All the connections to things like microphones and speakers and such are made on the back of the card right here. So they'll be accessed at the very back of the system. So really nothing else needs to be plugged into this card. I'm going to install this in the second slot up from the bottom, and what I'll do is remove the empty bracket. set it to the side, and merely seat the card in the slot. Make sure it's fully seated, and then use the same screw you removed just moments ago to reinstall the card and secure it in place. Now you can see that the video card is installed in the second slot up from the bottom. I've left some room, the sound card in the second slot up from the bottom. I've left some room for the video card to breathe, so to speak. And we've basically completed all of the work of assembling this machine. At this point, I'm going to button up the case, that is, put the side panel back on. I'm going to put the front panel on the case, secure all the cables inside, and we'll at that point be ready to plug in the power and other connections to the back, keyboard, mouse, etc., and power the system on and get it operational.